Welcome to another episode of Resilience Behind the Walls. I'm your host, Tasha Blanco, and today on today's episode, we have a brother from the community, Todd Reaves. I just want to take a moment to read and make sure I capture this.
Yes.
You have in your bio, entrepreneur, print management, business developer, marketing coach, and so much more. You are a part of our October series for Building It Together CT, which will be hosting a session on October 27th on a Thursday at 6 that creates an opportunity for people in the community to learn how to start their own business. I'm gonna let you give us an introduction of who you are and tell us a little bit more about you. But I just wanted to say this is an incredibly dope opportunity for the community, especially our Black and brown folks, who are looking to create a lane to understand on how to be a boss, their own boss that is gonna create their own business and be able to create generational wealth for their family and themselves for generations to come. So I just appreciate you joining us today, and wanted to have you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what pulled you into doing this work to help brothers and sisters out with starting their own business.
Okay, thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Entrepreneurship is something that I'm very passionate about since a child. I just didn't know many entrepreneurs. You know, I knew the locals, mom and pop operations. I didn't know many entrepreneurs. My grandfathers were entrepreneurs, but it skipped that generation and must have hit me. How I wanted to, I was always passionate about entrepreneurship. It really came when through an unfortunate legal situation, I was incarcerated. While incarcerated, I really started seriously, consciously thinking about my future, what I'm gonna do after this. I knew this wasn't the place for me. I knew this wasn't where I wanted to be. So I made a conscious decision to use that situation to work for me and not against me. It was like being in the valley of the shadow of death there. So you had to have a certain strength to be positive amongst a bunch of negativity. So, you know, I took advantage of everything positive that it had to offer. The classes, I even learned how to do the stock market, trading and buying stocks from there. I became a tutor there. I learned typing. I learned anything that could help me forward myself in life after that situation. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had all this negative stuff in my head that I had to somehow flush out. So, you know, I became an avid reader in jail. I probably never read a book till I went there. But the books I read were different. I wanted to read books that I learned off of. Self-help books, psychology books, and any business book that I could get my hands on in there. So I just read all of these, didn't know what direction I wanted to go. I just know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I prayed a lot. I didn't think I had any skills, like certain people have skills to build, skills for this. I looked at myself and I was like, I didn't think I had a skill. You know, I didn't know what that talent was that God put in me. But I just kept reading, giving myself a lot of knowledge on entrepreneurship. That's where I met J.O. We started a support group in the prison.
That's what's up.
You know, we were like, it was just 3 of us amongst hundreds of guys. We had our own support group. We would get in arguments over the tables we got to take. Everybody had to understand that, you know, we're going to be here for the next 2 hours and we do this on this day. And, you know, people respected it. And, you know, we built there. We didn't know where we were going to go. We just know we didn't want to come back to the situation. It didn't take until once I was released. Once I was released, it was kind of difficult. I was a guy that always thought I could get any job I can, you know, by an interview. But now I had this felony on my record which you know, it made it difficult. I was getting turned down for jobs because of my felony, and you know, this was like a big turning point on me. It was I didn't feel comfortable. I was like, you know, I didn't want to go back to the streets. I was like, that wasn't for me, and I was like, I can't get a job. So I was kind of like coerced into being an entrepreneur. Because after a certain point, I was like, I gotta figure this out. You know, I can't get the jobs that I want. I'm being forced to get jobs that I don't want. So I just, you know, I just kept going my path. I just kept trying to figure it out. Not knowing, it's something I call the Miyagi effect. You know, if you ever watched The Karate Kid.
Yes, I'm from that generation, so
yes,
I know.
Yes,
I know what you're referring to.
He was teaching Daniel's son, he was teaching him different things that he didn't know why he was teaching him these things, like wax on, wax off, until he put him in that situation where he showed him why I was teaching you these things. So that kind of happened with me in entrepreneurship. All the training I gave myself while incarcerated, all the reading, everything, it didn't make sense at the time. But when I came out and God started directing me in the right paths and, you know, the right circumstances, meeting the right people, everything that I went through in life started matching up now with this entrepreneurship thing. I found a lane. And it's just a phenomenal thing that everything started opening up. Oh, this is why I went through this. This is why I went through this. And I'm sorry to go too long, but I learned different things that I was like, wow, I never, you know, my people probably never knew this. We never learned this. And I'm learning different things, and I'm like, wow, I started thinking it was kept away from us, you know. But it came a lot from reading. A lot of people in my community don't do a lot of reading, and it's a lot of knowledge in these books that I learned from that helped me, you know, start my business, build my business. And I consider myself successful because I'm doing something I love. And I just want to pass it on to others so they may not have to go through the mistakes I went through, so things could be a little easier for them. So, you know, I'm getting fascinated by that. I got fascinated by watching the different entrepreneurs I worked with. I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I prayed to God that I could meet some. Now I've worked with over 5,000 entrepreneurs in startups and existing businesses by the graces of God. And now I'm to the point where I have to just spread this word. Like, you know what I mean? It's not as hard as you think. It's more of an emotional game than that, but getting into the business world is not as hard as you think. And, you know, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I get that, but I think everyone should have the entrepreneur mindset. The mindset of you could create your own future. The mindset of you could control your destiny and things like that. So, you know, that's just you know, I know I went all over the place with that.
No, you didn't. I think you hit all the points that needed to be hit. One of the things that I heard you say that stood out to me, there were several things, is that you were able to, during your incarceration, build. And so you were able to sit down with some individuals and use that time to build your foundation. I'm just wondering, with that time frame and doing that, how did you manage? Like, did you have notes at this meeting? Like, were y'all creating and developing things that you foresaw when you got out? Because it seems as though that you all were kind of planning for the future of what your next steps were going to be. And I think that putting things on paper makes things, you know, more succinct, it's solid. So, like, can you tell me a little bit about what how that worked, how you all thought about that?
It's funny you say that, because I was just going through old paperwork, and this was like 20 years ago, you know, with J.O. J.O.'s very organized, so we had to take notes. One of us had to take the minutes and things like that, and I'm talking in the middle of a jailhouse dorm with cards going on, fights. We're sitting here really, we didn't know why we were doing it, but we were doing it. And I just found the notes. And it's so funny that the notes that, J.O. had took, we had a mission statement. My life is still based upon what we wrote 20 years ago. It's everything came, we called ourselves the Go-Getter Group. I'm known as the Go-Getter. On my social media, I'm the Go-Getter. My friends, everybody calls me the Go-Getter. And that started from the Go-Getter Group that we started in the jailhouse. And after years, we met back up and we were still on the same path. By the blessings of God, we were still on the same path. And it's like what we wrote down came to life. What we wrote down, we didn't know why we were doing it, but we just know we wanted change. And it's so important to have a support group. Being behind those walls, it was hard. So these two gentlemen were my support group. We had to be at this table. We had to clear out all negativity, and we had to focus on our ideas. And one of them was to help the children. J.O. was big on helping the children. So we wanted to make something to help the children along with helping ourselves. And it was just incredible how after the years passed and you just see reality coming from what we wrote down. I'm a big on planning. I'm a big person on planning. As far as especially entrepreneurship in your life, I'm big on planning. A lot of people, especially people when they want to start businesses or they got this idea in their head, one of the first things that stop people and stagnate people are the thought of money. Mm-hmm. I don't have enough money. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able. I don't focus on money. I start where I am. Most of the businesses I started with zero money, little to no money. I started my businesses off of, and I've employed people. I've took care of myself. I haven't had a job at the time for like 15, 16 years, living off my business, living off the things I learned from the books. I made certain books authors my mentors because I didn't have many mentors. And planning was my major thing. Like just write down a plan. How do you see it? How do you want it? What's your perfect day? And I wrote these down in the journal. This is how I would want my perfect day. I didn't even know what business I wanted, but I would just like to get up in the morning, go to the gym. I want to have a 2-hour break where I eat lunch and then work out. I wrote all these things down, and it's the funny thing about the universe, God, however you want to put it. When you have your plan written down, forget money. When money comes up, it stagnates you because you never think you got enough. It's like a roadblock. Once you take that money part out and you write down, if you couldn't fail, what would you do? Like if you could not fail, what would you do? If you write this down, forget the money. The universe has ways of making that plan you write down happen. The money might come from somewhere, not even just the money, the opportunity. Someone else might come from somewhere to make that plan you had in the back of your head or that you wrote down come alive. And that has happened to me numerous times. I had people give me offices, numerous offices. And I'm not just talking the black community. I had Caucasians give me, or never met me in my life, give me offices. And I had a plan directly on what I wanted to do. So one of my philosophies I tell people is the plan. Just plan. I don't care. Just plan. Make your plan. Make your plan solid. It's a Bible verse, Habakkuk 2:2. It says write the plan down. Don't worry about how it will come. It'll eventually come. I live by that. This has happened, and I kind of force that on people. Stop thinking about the money. I got to stop people to stop thinking about the money. But overall, my thing is whether people want to be an entrepreneur or not, I think it's great to have that mindset. That mindset of I could create my own income. Also of having multiple incomes. It doesn't even matter about a lot of money. I have investments where I make $200 a month. That's my family's phone bill. You know what I mean? We don't ever have to worry about a phone bill because I have a vending machine over here that takes care the whole household phone or something like that. You know, so it's not the money thing. I just think people should know how to, you know, create their own income, because you only could have, what's the max? You can only have 2 jobs, you know? The max, or you wear yourself out, but you could have multiple businesses, you could have multiple investments, you could have multiple real estate, you could have multiple things that bring you in something to help out, especially during these hard times, to help out with the family, to help out with your future goals, to help out with your bills. And that's just something I encourage. Sometimes I bombard people with this. And,
I don't think you do. With you saying what you're saying, what I hear is, and what I feel is, you're talking about planning and executing.
Yes.
And you're also bringing up all of the reasons why someone may not move to execute their plan. And money is a huge thing, right? And also, I think within our Black and brown communities, there's fear too, because we may not know or have the ability to know that there are resources that we can create on our own or find to help us. And there's a fear of failing, which you brought up. And it's like, if I only have this much money or a stash of mine right now, and I use that, and that was to do for my family, or pay bills or do whatever it was to do, that fear is, now I've lost that, and how do I get that back up, right?
Yes.
And so that's, you know, for many of us, sometimes doing our day-to-day, living paycheck to paycheck, or figuring out different things, I don't have time to sit back and to maybe do that thing that I wanted to do, which might be something that is gonna bring me multiple streams of revenue and help my family in the long run. So I think what you're saying, and what I'm hearing really clearly, is like, just put a plan together. And the fear of failing, I mean, you're gonna learn something from that, right?
Yes.
So
yes, very much so. Because it's like you got 365 days in a year. If you can make one step each day, it doesn't have to be a big step. These little steps, by the end of the year, that 365 steps will be a big step. You know, you might gotta go research something. You might gotta go, you know, that your conscience telling you to stop here. You know, if you've never seen a storefront, never rented a storefront, you might see one for rent. Just call them up. You know, this is information that you're gonna get. This is training, basically. You know, just try new things. Another thing, like when we were incarcerated, you know, and my mindset was changing. You know, it opened up a whole nother world. Now, this was one major thing also. Opportunities come in problems. If you can solve a problem, it's usually an opportunity there. I changed in my head the way I look at problem. Usually when you hear the word problem, you feel down. You're like, oh man, a problem is down. I smile at problems. In my head, a problem in my head is not problem, it changed to opportunity. Figure this out, and then you have an opportunity there, Todd. Everything that's being created was an old problem, and then someone made an opportunity out of it. So now my head says, doesn't say problem, it says opportunity. And that's how I really got into entrepreneurship. Oh, you can't find a job. That was the problem. Create one, which was the opportunity, even though it gets a little deeper than that.
So let me ask you this. For our brothers and sisters who are coming home or may just got home and looking for that opportunity and are getting frustrated because of the things that you had said, is that there are barriers that get in the way of them finding a job or starting their own business. Like, what would be some advice that you would provide to them to kind of, I mean, we could sit here and say do X, Y, and Z, but like people are like, yo, I'm out here struggling. Like, I go to this place, I called them, they gave me an interview, they're not giving me a job, but I'm gonna try to start my own business, but I need a little bit of money or resources to get actually started. So like, what would be your advice to keep them?
Okay, number one, pray if they're into that. Number two, read something that has to do with building yourself up. empowering yourself, because you got to make yourself feel good. Your confidence has to come up. It's hard for us coming home from prison and it's like you starting from scratch. It's very, very, very hard. Getting around the right people. You know, I know we might come home and, you know, we're back around that same crowd. You got to find something to get around the right people. Like, start doing something new, something where you can get some information. That's what I had to do. You know, I went back around the same people, and entrepreneurship wasn't big as it is now. I had to keep it a secret because people laughed at me. Oh, you want to be an entrepreneur? Man, go get this job at Stop and Shop Warehouse. You know, they didn't know that they were like hurting me. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I don't want to do that. But I had nobody to encourage me, like, to what I wanted to do. It was very difficult. It was very difficult. That's why I want to spread this word. But it's like getting around the right people. Trying to stay positive as much as you can. Things change around. Sometime immediately, on God's time, they change though. And it's just staying positive, going through the ups and downs, but it eventually open up. Keep learning, constantly learning, getting around the right people, and trying to find your lane. Finding what would you like to do. Like, if you could do anything, what would you like to do? Discover what would you like to do. I didn't think I had no talent. I was like, wow, you know, I'm a positive, upbeat person, but I didn't think I had a talent. My talent was talking. You know, once I figured it out, my talent was talking. I talked myself into everything. I live by acts and you shall receive. I literally talked myself into things. I talked myself into my own print shop. I walked down the Post Road one day trying to find a job as a salesperson because I wanted to learn sales. I read, what are the characteristics of an entrepreneur? So I had to, all right, I got that one. I don't got that one. I have to learn that one. You know, I had to learn certain things. And I was walking down the Post Road after getting turned down for these jobs, and it was depressing. I was walking, I had a suit on, the oversized suit, and it was very much depressing. I eventually got a sales job in the gym, and I started throwing parties. I was throwing parties. This is how, I don't mean to go up, but this is how I learned actually putting to work what I learned in the prison from these books. I was on probation, and I had to get a job. It was still hard. I went and registered a business at City Hall. It was like $15, $20. I went across the street, opened up a business account. It was like $50, and I threw parties. It was funny because they gave me the checks. I wrote checks to myself to bring the parole saying I had a job. I worked for a marketing company, which was my company. Yeah. They didn't know. And I threw a party on every Wednesday. You know, that party made me about $500-$600 each time. So that was my start. And I was like, it worked. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe it worked. I did something out of the ordinary, stepped out of my comfort zone, and it worked. And that, you know, the party thing got too overwhelming for me, being up late, always handing out flyers. Another problem occurred where these little flyers that I was getting, they weren't the black and white flyers that we grew up on, they were these colored flyers. They were hard to find at the time. I knew where to get them from. That changed into my business that I'm now in, my marketing company that I'm now in, that has been taking care of me for almost 20 years now. That problem, I knew where to get it. I knew where to get these from, and people needed to know them. I created a business out of that. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I would be talking all day to talk about this type thing. But ever since then, you know, like I told you, I didn't know any entrepreneurs. Now everybody is around me an entrepreneur. It's like a miracle. Every single person I hang with is an entrepreneur. We started feeding off each other. We started building each other. And I just want to spread that word to people. I want to show them how to get in the door, the barriers. You know, I just want to show them exactly how. I don't know everything, because this game, you learn things as you go. You learn new things and everything. But the things I do know could help somebody get in the door, because people are very smart when you put them in that arena. Like, they get very intelligent. You know, I watched a lot of people that didn't know how to, even start a business. But once they got there, what I say is, I'll kick you off the cliff. You know, your family and everybody might tell you a million ways why it won't work. I'm gonna tell you a million ways why it will and why you should do it. I mean, once I put you in there, I'm like, they said the eagle kicks his eaglets off the cliff, and they'll let them go all the way down so they can learn how to fly. Before they hit the ground, they come pick them up, bring them back down. I'm that eagle that's gonna kick you off the cliff. You wanna you got a business idea? I want you to do it. I want you to try. You know what I mean? We're gonna fail. The only people that don't fail are the people that don't try. You know, so I just want people to try different things. Everything could be a business. You know what I mean? Everything. You don't need a car. You could start anything. You could buy a little candy machine. You could go through the neighborhood with your rake, telling them, yo, I do the cleanups here. You know, that it's just doing something out of the ordinary. You're gonna get ridiculed. I got ridiculed for handing out flyers. You know, that's my career now. I hired the people that laughed at me. You know what I mean? I hired them. You don't have to know how to cook to own a restaurant. I owned the graphic design and printing company and wasn't a graphic designer. You know, I hired graphic designers, and we all split. You know, it's incredible, this world. I want to introduce them to. It's a very incredible thing.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, because I think everything that you're saying, and I'm looking forward to, as well as I know other folks are looking forward to your session that you're doing on the 27th of October. And it seems like you're going to be bringing this into the session. I don't want to give anything away because we want people to, to come up. And it sounds like one of the hugest things that you learned was that it's an importance to have a network of folks that you can connect with to help with that building of that foundation, and that you found whatever your skills were and your purpose to manifest what was going to be your business adventure. Yes. And so can you talk to, like, one of the things when you were starting out, what is something that happened that you didn't expect?
Good question. Good question. One of the things that happened that I did not expect. It's similar to something I said earlier. Something that I didn't expect is things I learned from the past. These jobs that I didn't like, you know, that I worked at, that at the time I didn't. Why am I here? I didn't know. Like I said, everything that I went through jobs, through relationships, came back. It was a purpose for all of that stuff that I didn't never think had a purpose. It was a purpose for all that. All that stuff happened to come back. I mean, even little things like coming to work 10 minutes late and you wonder why the boss is mad. These things came into my business organization like, oh, this is why they used to do that. This is why they used to do that. A lot of all the things that you went through, it's like I was in the world but not of the world. So now all these things, it just was fascinating to me because a lot of things I didn't like and they had purpose now. They had a lot of purpose and I didn't expect that. You know, I didn't expect the dishwashing job to teach me something about business down the line. I didn't expect those type things. What else? What's that question? What didn't I expect? Caught me off guard with that one. But
that's
it's
okay.
A few different
That's
things.
cool.
It's a few different things. It's a cool thing.
Like, what is one lesson that you think that people should know when starting their own business? Like, what is one key
One key lesson that people should know about starting their own business. One key lesson. This is a big thing. It's called being your own boss, but you're not actually your own boss. You're really not your own boss. Your client, your customer is your boss, and they can fire you anytime they like. You can't just open your business whenever you want. You have to open your business when your market is available. You know what I mean? You might decide, I'm gonna open my business at 1 a.m. in the morning. If your market is a working crowd, they can't come at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that was a big thing to me, thinking, this is my own business. I could do what I want. I could do it. No, you really can't. That's a big misconception of being your own boss. You're not the boss. You have plenty bosses, and their name are customers. You have to satisfy your customer. They say the customer's all right and all of this. Yes, that's true. But you really have to satisfy. You're here for the customer. The customer makes sure they're paying you. You making a living off them. That was my biggest thing that I was like, I'm my own boss. Yep. And then the customers telling me off, and they fired me by not paying you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? By cutting you off, going somewhere else. Now you got fired, and you noticing your income's going down. You realize that I'm really not the boss. Let me check myself. I run the company, I own the company, but they're my boss. They pay me, and I try to work with my clients as much as I can. I try to learn off them. What am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. Help me out. Again, I didn't go to school for this. When I jumped in it, I had to make a lot of mistakes. I tried a lot of different things, so I made a lot of mistakes, and I learned off those things. Failure wasn't a bad thing. You would think it was bad, and it's like, no, you learn so much off failure. I once heard a quote by, Warren Buffett, the billionaire. And he was like, he doesn't invest in entrepreneurs unless you fail twice, and you failed at 2 businesses. He said, because if you never fail, you don't know what not to do. You know what I mean? Well, and that was clever because, I failed at one business, and I was like, it was depressing. I'm like, but it wasn't. I learned so much off of that I'll pass it on, so you don't have to go through that. You know what I mean? So you don't have to go through that. I done started businesses from nothing, went to payroll, I went to the bank, did a whole payroll, did my own payroll where I got my own checks, and then I had to go out and earn. I had to go out and earn. I had to go out, show customer service. I had to go out, do sales. It was so much to learn. But that was the major thing of being your own boss. I call it BYOB. Be your own boss, buy your own business, build your own business, BYOB. But you're not your own boss.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, right? It was because sometimes even with the best plans, you may need to go back and revisit and switch some things up. Because if you thought that one was a good time and your customers are telling you it's not, or whatever your business that you're doing is giving you some feedback, whether it's no one's coming or people are telling you straight to your face that you need to adapt and you've learned from that. And so that is totally important. And I think that that's an experience and that people should allow themselves grace when, I think sometimes when we bump our heads, we get frustrated at not seeing immediate results. And so I think, I don't know if you wanted to speak to any of that, but when building your own business, I'm sure it takes a time to do that and it may not be immediate. And so that's one of the things that I think that is so important for people to recognize and realize.
I read an article of, I can't find it now, but I read an article. It says a lot. It says reasons why, a lot of our Black and brown people business don't flourish and succeed is another thing I'm passionate about is marketing. They said we don't know They said the inner city community don't know too much about marketing. I have clients that have successful businesses that spend a whole lot of on marketing, which I've learned from them. I wish I could spend a lot, but I spend what I can on marketing, and I realize the marketing is what brings everything back. You know, you could use your word of mouth, you know, your family and friends, but the marketing is what somebody could sell a crappy product, but do a lot of marketing on it. So marketing is a big thing that has to be promoted in our community, so we could grow bigger businesses and create more jobs for our youth and our community. So I put a lot of emphasis on marketing and letting my people know what marketing. When I started talking marketing, a lot of people did not even know what marketing was.
And it's such a wide, vast lane, right?
Much,
so it's like, where do I know for myself, you know, I'm not gonna say my age, 40-something, but like you have to figure out what are the ways in which to reach everybody. And so for some people, I mean,
it's so many. You start with your family and friends. You know, you start with your family, and don't get discouraged if they don't support you. You know, support is telling somebody about your business. You know, and you could be a painter. You know, just tell people about it. Spread the word about it. Marketing could not cost you nothing. Sometimes, you know, it's not all about money. It could not cost you nothing. People thought I was crazy when I started getting into marketing, because every time I see you, I was giving you 2 business cards. Every single time I seen you. So you was like, no, I already got some. I laugh like I'm crazy. Like, all right, I'm gonna see you later. Still give you the business card. So now you got about 5, 6 of my business cards. I turned you into a salesperson. As soon as somebody says, oh, I need printing, I'm like, oh, you know what? I got some of Todd's cards. Yeah, take one of these. Take one of these. You know, I started my business off with $50 business cards. You know, and I just spreaded them around to everybody I knew, and I constantly did it. And then it kicked in. You know, it kicked in. My first, and this is fascinating for me, my first official year as a LLC, 2005, my first year not knowing nothing, just what the books told me, me and my partners, we made over $130,000 on our tax returns, and I couldn't believe that. That was more money than I made. I was making $20,000, $25,000 at my job. So that clicked, and then I went crazy. I was like, oh, this works. You know, the marketing, those little flyers I put on people's cars, it worked. It actually brought things in. And I preach marketing now. You know, I sternly preach marketing. Not just the marketing you pay for, just use your head. How can I get this word spread? Me, I used to stand on corners with my sign because this was my own business. You know how they got to put the person with the costume on in front of the tax plate? Yeah. I was doing that myself. You know, I put my pride in my back pocket. You know, we used to stand on corners and do things we weren't supposed to do. So anything I do and legitimately is great to me, you know. So like I said, I tell people, just spread the word through your family. If you've got a business idea you want to start, anything. People are creating businesses and restaurants of selling dinners out their house.
Yes.
You know, I seen it. I seen dudes come with lawnmowers to my shop. You know, lawnmowers sit outside and come in and ask for a business card. Could you put landscaping on one side and Maria's cleaning on the other for my wife? And I've watched magic happen where these people a year or 2 later have a fleet of cars. Like a fleet of cars for their business. This is like fascinating to me, like, you know, and over the years I've worked with many ethnicities and different cultures where they came to me for knowledge or my product, but I actually learned off of them. I learned how each of these different people run their business. And I take that and I bring it back to my people that may not know. They were successful at it. Why not push somebody in their own lane, and then they'll figure it out. You know, they'll figure it out. Once you get somebody in their lane, they'll figure it out. I just want to put them in the lane. I want to show you the basics. I want to show you the foundation, how to start your foundation off correctly. Off the mistakes I've made, you know, I didn't even know I could go set up my own, at the time when I first got in business, set up my own LLC and everything. I went to some investors, got a loan and paid an accountant $500 to set up my whole corporate structure when I could have did it myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So I'm gonna I'm gonna take that $500 I spent and spread it to my people. Like you don't have to do that. I got a way you could go to Concord, state of Connecticut. You could file your own paperwork, and do that. I just want to let these little jewels off to my people so they could grow and prosper. And I just want to empower them.
That's dope. I was just thinking about, I was like, yeah, you dropping jewels right now. And it's an opportunity to have this resource that people can come to. And that's why we're so excited and appreciative of the work that you're going to be providing at the session on Thursday, the 27th
Be there.
of October.
Got a lot of
because
jewels.
I think that could be a point of frustration for folks when they're inundated with like paperwork and they're like, what is all this? Like, I just want to, I have this vision, I have this goal, let's get to it. And to have the support, like we were talking about earlier, when you were sitting at that table, turning a negative into a positive, while being behind the walls and setting up this blueprint to support not only yourself, but to bring it back to the community. Because people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And it's as simplistic as that,
yes.
right? So.
And then what I've learned, the more I learn, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. It's like, wow, I learned something. I'm like, oh shoot, I really don't know. You be thinking you know everything, and then you learn something new. You're like, whoa, it's a lot more for me to know. And us as black and brown people gotta understand, we were forbidden to read. It's a reason why. We were forbidden to read, and that was not long ago. 100 years ago is not long. I mean, with people that's 100 years old. We just thought, it's a lot of information hidden in these books. I'm a firm believer in reading. It's a lot of information hidden in these books. I make a living off of what I read. I make a living off of it that I didn't have to work for 16 years. Legitimately in a business. And then the other things like finding a bookkeeper, accountant. At the time I thought, oh, you gotta have hundreds of dollars. My accountant bookkeeper was $35, $40 a month to do all my paperwork. And then tax time.
That's what's up.
Tax time, I gotta pay them a little bit more, but they do all my taxes. I didn't know nothing about taxes. I wanted to do everything correctly. It didn't cost much. In my head, I would have thought, oh man, I don't have enough. I'd have shut myself down like I don't have enough money for no accountant. I was paying an accountant $30 a month to do my paperwork. When the bank came and said, oh, you've been here for a few years, we want to give you a loan, I called the accountant. He already had all the paperwork. I wouldn't have known how to do that. The accountant already, I said, yeah, they said I could get a loan, but I need the paper. He had all the paperwork. This little $50 investment, I call it investment, it's not an expense. It helped me out. Now I went to the bank like this. I went to the bank, had all the paperwork up. Now the bank, they were gonna put the money in. I didn't do one thing. This is the type of things, I'm gonna share that at the what's name.
We can't give too much away right now.
I didn't do one thing. That was simple, but I didn't do one thing. And I got in a big argument with the bank, like, hold up, all my paperwork is right, everything was right. I didn't do this one little thing that everybody has to do. And I just missed it just off of that. But these are the type of things I want to share with people that I've went through, so they don't have to go through it. So it'll be much easier, and they can be as successful as possible. My success is I love working with entrepreneurs. I'm in a business that works with entrepreneurs. I'm actually doing what I wanted to do as a child when I went to college. I wanted to work for a marketing firm. I wanted to be Eddie Murphy in Boomerang. I wanted to make commercials.
Was it because of Halle Berry, or was it because of...
No, I wasn't Halle Berry. I just wanted to be in that atmosphere. I wanted to make commercials, work with entrepreneurs, and I always wanted that. It's just a blessing that God put me in that business. I work with entrepreneurs every day. I'm just not making commercials. I'm making advertisements for them. I'm making flyers. I'm making menus. It's the same business, and it's not in that beautiful high rise they had. I'm in a storefront. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I own it. You know what I mean? I thought I was gonna work for somebody. I own it. I own it. And one thing about I'm gonna tell you one thing. I went through my share of getting fired from businesses and everything. One thing about when you start your own little organization, your operation is you'll never be fired again. You eliminate being fired. I eliminate being fired. I'm not gonna fire myself. Well, sometimes I do, but I hire myself the next
I know
day.
what you mean.
I rehire myself. So I
yeah.
eliminated being fired. I eliminated being laid off, and everything. And you know, at one time I was able to hire my friends. Man, my friends were coming home. I had a shop. I was able to. I got to the point where I was like, I'm only hiring convicted felons. Yeah,
That's what's up.
They didn't want to hire us.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm only hiring you. Even when I used to get interns and things like that. Even when, you know, they'll come in from the schools, I ask them, you know, because it was hard for a lot of people. I had people thank me, man. Like, thank you, man. I couldn't get a job nowhere. The feeling of that alone, later for the money and everything, that feeling alone, helping somebody that was in a position like me, I know exactly where you're from. And just to do that, you know, it was beautiful. And everybody that worked in my shop that I had in Bridgeport are entrepreneurs, full time. 90% of them are full. Everybody works for themselves, doing better than me, all of them. And that's my pay. God has already given me my payback. You know, just seeing that. You know, I just want to keep doing it, man. I want to see the next generation create a big corporation, like, and that we, you know, that helps our community or something, man. Get off. Nothing wrong with mom and pop organizations, but we need to be more organized and create bigger companies these days. And we have the knowledge and the resources are out here for us to create these bigger companies. And we could support ourselves. My network supports itself. I eat at my friends' restaurants. I buy my friends' products. You know, when my friends spend with me, I make sure they get their money back, you know, by going out promoting their business if I'm not gonna buy it. And we could do it. It's like it's being done. It's not like it's being done. I see it every day.
Yeah, and I think that what's so important, what you just said, is about creating, not waiting for somebody to create that resource for you. It's us creating the resource and providing opportunities to our brothers and sisters out there who are looking for a job or looking to start in their own business. And that's the importance of community. And we did that for generations, but we've also have had things come into place that have made it unavailable to us purposely.
Big time, purposely.
And so, I mean, we talking real, and we've been talking about it since the beginning, but it's just important and it's an opportunity. And I like what you're saying about it's building this network. How are we spending dollars with ourselves? How are we able to promote our companies? How are we able to build and remove the fear of thinking that we can't do it?
Exactly. And you know, even little things, what people have to understand, we go out here, we buy these designer clothes or whatever we wear. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But people don't know these companies pay you now to do that. You know, it's called affiliate marketing. You know what I mean? You could promote a company. All of the companies do it, actually. You can promote Nike, you can promote Gucci. All these places have affiliate programs that you can get paid off of promoting. You know what I mean? If you're gonna wear their stuff, you know, why not have them kick you back some money? It's like an endorsement. You know what I mean? They pay you, but it's a lot of different avenues and different ways that you could earn an additional income. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but who doesn't want an additional income? Who doesn't want to knock out one of their bills in their household, you know, without having to worry about it? Okay, I don't have to worry about my cell phone bill no more. This little business me and my kid created takes care of that.
And that could look like not just the affiliate marketing. Let me create my own shoe.
Yes.
So
I'm firm on that.
Me and my kid could create our own shoe, and we could put this out. So that's another generating income to create that generational
so
wealth.
Fascinating, man, when you see people create something from nothing that they just created in their head. Lastly, but major thing, write your ideas down. Your goals, ideas, write them down. You don't worry. I say again, don't worry about money. You know how I got money to start my first business? I got money to start my first business by sitting down in the house for like a week and putting together like a paper. Like in college, they tell you to write these papers. I sat down and I wrote as much things I could think of. My competition. I paid a guy for a logo. I didn't have no money. Understand this. And everybody could talk to you on the corner, talk to you about their ideas. It's different when you have it written down and putting on paper. And it's looking like you put work into this. Like you did a lot. I shopped this thing around. Like a resume, people sit down and make a resume to go find a job. My resume was my business plan. This is what I want to do. This is the marketing plan. I didn't know how to make a business plan, but I just did everything that I could think of. And I went and shopped it. I got $8,000 from 2 private investors to start my business. You know, it worked. I'm talking no money. And I went with I was reading one of my sales books that said enthusiasm sells. So I had to pump myself up. I had my business, I made copies for them to take with them. And I pumped, they didn't even know what my business was about. They just seen that my enthusiasm, they seen that he had a whole written plan. And I had $8,000 in my account the next day to start my business, so that I'm running today, you know. And that was 2005. This month is my anniversary for my company. 14 years. It's my birthday too. I started my business the same month as my birthday, so it's 14 years now, and I'm going into a new chapter with it. After ups and downs, this happens. That's another thing I want to tell entrepreneurs. It's an emotional roller coaster ride. You know, but it's fun once you get through it, and you learn a lot. You get to help a lot. You get to create a lot, and it's your world.
I appreciate that, Jules. So you can meet with Todd Reaves at our entrepreneurship training session that will be on October 27th, Thursday. Where can folks look you up if they're just, they're going to contact us for signups, but if they wanted to kind of check you out before they show up, how can they do that?
You can go to my website, www.toddreaves.com. You can reach me through that. All my social medias are The Go-Getter. Instagram, I'm at The Go-Getter. My Facebook page is The Go-Getter also, or you could go to my personal one, Todd Reaves, under Facebook. I'm not hard to find. I'm throwing my number around. I throw everything around. I'm easy to find, and I'm easy to work with, and I love helping people. So that's it. I hope to see a lot of you guys soon, and we could share some knowledge and grow.
I appreciate your energy. I appreciate you coming in and sharing the jewels and gems that you did thus far. And I'm sure that there's plenty that will come up during the conversation on Thursday, the 27th of October. And I just appreciate you showing up and also just making sure that, you're so vibrant and enthusiastic. And I'm just thinking about how having that foundation, not everyone's gonna feel okay with stepping out there and talking, but I think it's amazing when you have a team that has people who can fill in those spaces. Yes. So he's gonna teach us enthusiasm, and one of the jewels that he's saying. So appreciative of that.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be working with you guys. I love your team. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Perfect. So we'll see you soon, and if you have interest in any of the October series that we have at Building It Together CT, please email us at buildingittogether2016@gmail, and you can insert the number after. So have a great night. Take care.
Take care.